Well, hi guys, I'm Michael Housen. Welcome to the workshop. I appreciate you being here. Interesting, not everybody who signed up showed up today, but you guys did, and that tells me a lot. Also, interesting, about half the folks that registered took my real estate readiness assessment. So I know that there are definitely areas where a lot of improvement is needed, and that's frankly a part of what is going to happen here today. So you're here because you're thinking about buying a house or maybe thinking about buying and selling a house. And on the buyer side, your goal is super simple. It is get the right house at the absolute lowest price possible. And then on the seller side, of course, it's flipped, which would be your goal of getting the absolute maximum selling price possible. So today, I'm going to give you a framework and some very practical steps for how to do both of these things. Now, there are two essentials for achieving each of these goals. And the first one is that you're going to need to avoid costly mistakes. Costly mistakes are how you lose money. These are things that you do that you should not have done. And I'm going to illustrate it simply like this. So this is a costly mistake that you shouldn't have done that's going to cost you money. By the way, I will send you these notes that I'm taking when we're all done. And then the second aspect is not only do you want to avoid costly mistakes, but you want to pursue opportunities when you identify them. Successfully capitalizing on opportunities is how you actually make money. And this is doing the things that you should do, which is basically the exact opposite. Things that you should do that benefit you financially. Now, you're likely here because you're not 100% certain about how to go about doing either of these things, what not to do and what you should do. Or maybe you're wondering if what you know is actually good enough. Or maybe you're thinking, you know what, if I just find the right real estate agent, they're going to help me and that will be fine. So if any of these things describe you, then frankly, you're in the uncomfortable position right now of kind of hoping and guessing. And hoping and guessing is uncomfortable because of the amount of money that's on the table here. But you're in the right place. So today, I'm going to talk to you about how to move from this uncomfortable position of just kind of hoping and guessing about how to actually get to certainty. And so that's the first thing that we're going to be doing today, is that we're going to go from some level of fear and concern to certainty. And that's primarily the financial implications of it, obviously. Now, a key point here is that when I'm going to be talking to you about it doesn't matter whether you have a realtor right now or not, or whether you're even going to hire one at all, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you've got a realtor or not. That's important. The whole point of this workshop is to equip you. That's the central topic, so that you know what should and should not be happening with certainty. After 30 plus years in this business, this is something I've now come to understand as a brutal fact. If you want to have the greatest chance for success, you cannot delegate control of your real estate journey to anybody else. Because if you're not controlling your own journey, someone or something else will, and that is a recipe for total disaster. So this is the point of today. I'm going to write it in red. To equip you. Also, you're not going to find or hear any of this information anywhere else. You're not going to be able to plug this into Claude or ChatGPT. They're just going to pull out average information that most people do. That is not what we're going to be talking about here. Now, the amount of money likely involved is probably going to be the very largest financial transaction of your life, whether you're buying or selling. So I first want to talk about those numbers, because my guess is this is probably terrifying to you. If I were in your shoes and I didn't know what I know today, it would be terrifying to me. The average house across the country right now sells for about $435,000. Okay. And on any home, there can be a price value range of about a 10% swing. If you look up any home value on Zillow, buried way down at the bottom below this estimate, it's going to show you that range. Now, regardless of what you think about Zillow and how they come up with their numbers and all of that, take a look at this. So this is a house that is listed right now for $435,000, okay? And they're estimating the value to be $439,000. But if you look here, this is their estimated sales range. That is $44,000 swing. Now, most people don't see this range buried at the bottom of the Zillow screen. So for the sake of today in this discussion, let's call it on an average home in the country, that's a $40,000 swing, okay? That's 40 grand that's on the table for you if you're in that average range. So that could be 40 grand that could be yours, or it could be in the wallet or the bank account of the person across the table from you. Now, if your market is more expensive than average, then it's even more money that we're talking about. If your market is like mine here in Orange County, that's almost triple the national average, then we're talking about a potential swing of 100 grand. Do the math in your head right now for your target price range. This should get your attention. Your target price range, 10% of that, that's the amount of money on the table. That's the swing that we're talking about. Either that money remains yours or it's gone forever. Now, if home prices themselves don't terrify you, then this massive swing and potential outcome definitely should. What could you do with 40 grand if you didn't have to pay a higher price to a seller? Or if a buyer offered you $40,000 extra for your home? Retirement accounts, savings accounts, vacation, health expenses, upgrades to the house, pay off debt, tons. Whatever it would be for you, I definitely think we can agree that it's better that you would keep that money than lose it. Am I right? Put the word table in the chat for me if you understand the amount of dollars that are on the table in front of you right now in your real estate journey. Put the word table in there if this makes sense to you. Table, good. All right. So I understand that. Now, once we understand that, I want to take a quick step back for a second and just kind of look from a bird's eye view of the journey that you're actually about to go on right now. Okay? So what we've got, so this is you here, and your journey destination is here, right? That's where we want to go. You're starting out here, and this is where you want to get to in whatever your time period is. This is your real estate journey. Now, there are potential costs and mistakes that can be made all along this journey. Landmines all over this journey, and frankly, there are dozens of them. Big ones, small ones, enormous ones, lots of them, and all of these landmines are costly. And what we're going to do is I'm going to represent them like this. So these are the costly landmines that are scattered around your journey. And each of those X's is probably a dozen landmines. But the bad thing about real estate, it's even worse. Almost all of these landmines are actually silent. So not only can you not see the landmines, you'll never even know when you step on one of them. You're walking along the path, thinking everything is going just fine, and you don't know that you're stepping on them, and you're losing all this money. This should actually be the most terrifying part about it. The biggest risk for you in your real estate journey is never even knowing that one of those landmines exploded and cost you money. You lost tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was completely off your radar. These are costly mistakes without your realizing it, and then bang, that money is gone. And what ends up happening is either the house that you're looking at is getting more expensive, or you lose on that house altogether, or if you're selling a house, the money that you would be getting starts draining out the bottom. Those are the options, and you literally would never even know that it happened. So here's something that you probably don't want to hear. I need you to listen to this. Unless you started your journey 5 seconds before signing up for this workshop, you've almost certainly already stepped on a landmine, maybe multiple landmines. Right here, right now, there are very likely exploded landmines in your rearview mirror, and you didn't even know it. There's bleeding that's already happening, and you're not even aware of it. So job number one is to identify the landmines and avoid them. We have to do that. And I'm going to represent it like this. We want to avoid all of these potential landmines along this journey. But it's not just about avoiding the landmines. Avoiding landmines is part of it. Avoiding costly mistakes, that's only half of the goal. The other half, it's the correct path around those, the right shortcuts, the correct turns. And this has to do with seeing opportunities when they happen and then taking advantage of those. Obviously, you want to avoid losing money, but you also want to know how to act when you can make money. In a journey language, that's knowing when and where to turn left or turn right, how to take the correct path. Now, for me, I call this how to buy or sell a house like a pro. And I'm going to do it a little thicker. That's the correct path through and around all of these landmines, okay? Now, if you want to know the correct path to avoid these landmines and know how to take the advantage of opportunities when they pop up, put the word path in the chat if that would be something interesting to you. Path. Okay, good. Great. Now, right around now, you should probably be asking yourself, why the hell should I listen to this guy? Who the hell is he? Hey, who the hell are you? Great questions. I would be asking the exact same ones for sure. So, hi there. I'm Michael Hausum, a real estate broker focusing on Southern California, mostly right here in Orange County where I live. I first got into the business right out of school 35 years ago. And then I added the real estate and the mortgage side. And then about a decade after that, added the real estate. So 24, 25 years in real estate. So over the last near decade, I've been a top 2 to 3% nationally. So everything that I'm going to be talking to you about is based on a lot of successful experience. This is not theory or concept. And it's all current and happening right now. Literally right before we got on here, I just got notification. One of my listings is closing in about an hour. So this is active real estate work. And when we're done, I'm showing a house this afternoon to some buyer clients. But frankly, it's also the result of difficulties and challenges as well. In some cases, learning very hard and very frustrating lessons. But over this entire time, I have watched dozens and dozens of homebuyers make stupid mistakes, shoot themselves in the foot over and over. And frankly, I'm tired of good people losing money and having no idea that it happened. So what I'm going to be showing you today, you're not going to find anywhere else. It's powerful concepts that I'm going to deliver to make sure that that 40 grand or the 100 grand or whatever the number is for your price range stays with you, okay? It's the exact same thing that I personally have spent over 100 grand with mentors and coaches over the years to learn. And it's the same stuff I'm applying and using every single day with my clients. It's literally the same program that my Orange County clients get. these guys pay me a 3% commission for it. So on an average home here in Orange County, that's about $45,000 that they pay. It's the same process the realtors that I coach. My fee for realtor coaching is 12 grand a year to teach them how to use these systems and strategies with their clients. And it's strategies and tactics and frameworks that none of your competitors are going to know. None of them are going to be using, nor any of their real estate agents either. Okay. It's the result of tons of money and time that I've invested over the decades so I can help my clients save money and make money. And frankly, that is my mission. And I'm guessing you're probably a little skeptical, have a bit of a wait and see attitude. I'd feel the exact same way. So all I ask is that you just keep an open mind for about the next 45 minutes or so. Okay. Now, very quickly, I do have 2 agendas for the workshop. Number 1, to make sure that you get the clearest and best instruction that you've ever seen on how to properly execute a real estate transaction at a pro level, to show you things you've never seen before and that nobody else is going to show you, so that you know what it takes to get the right house at the right price. That's agenda number 1. Agenda number 2 is to sell you something. At the end, I'm going to have an offer for a few of you, and then you'll have 2 options. Take what I've shown you and try to figure it out on your own. Or if it makes more sense for you to pay me for my help, there's going to be an option for that as well. Either way, you win, and that's the entire goal of what I'm doing here. And I want to make sure that you get this. So put okay in the chat if this is acceptable to you. Okay, good. All right, good. Thank you. Now, when thinking about the correct path on this real estate journey and avoiding the landmines and taking advantage of opportunities, there's actually a big problem here that most people don't think about and they don't realize exists. Most folks think that the big challenges for them are either finding the right realtor or finding the right house or timing the market right or negotiating well or sifting through all of the advice to get the best answers, okay? But those are actually symptoms of a much bigger problem. The real problem is that almost nobody has ever been taught how to properly control their journey itself and why it is so important to do that. As I said before, if you don't control your real estate journey, somebody or somebody else will. So I'm going to give you 2 recent examples from right here in my business recently that clarify the importance for you to take control of your own real estate journey. So firstly, about a month ago, some clients and I saw a house. And let me read you the details from this listing. So you probably can't see the details. This is the printout from the MLS, okay? Exceptionally upgraded 4-bedroom, 3-bath Del Cerro home, boasting beautiful curb appeal, beautifully remodeled, inviting living room is anchored with the fireplace. The home thoroughly upgraded with newer vanities, fixtures, lighting, tile surrounds, clear enclosures, the expansive upstairs primary suite, defined outdoor entertaining space. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to own this turnkey home. That sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds like a great house. But when we got there, it was a total mess. Disgusting adjacent. The furniture was different than was in the pictures. The upgrades, 15 years old, super tired. Furthermore, the house was an active substance abuse recovery home. Now, of course, facilities like that are super important given the world we live in, but a little heads up would have been nice from the agent. Hey, by the way, this is an active business location that you're going into. It's being used as a recovery home. Frankly, this house was such a total dump and the vibe was so bad. And here's the essential point, why you've got to take control of your own real estate journey. The listing agent on this home is a top agent in Orange County by total sales volume. There are only a handful of agents here that sell more houses. I actually printed out from their website, their little marketing brochure. I'm not going to tell you the city because it's not about the agent, but just some highlights. The number one realtor in this city for 24 straight years. Number one resale agent in Orange County for the last 5 years. $2.7 billion in lifetime home sales. $275 million closed last year alone. Total pro. But think about the seller of this house. I am sure that they have no idea what a disaster their listing is, right? They hired one of the top selling agents in the country, but it's probably going to cost them 15 to 20% of the value of the home because of the way they're bringing it to market. He trusted his home sale to a top expert, and the way they're handling it, it's going to cost them 150, 250 grand at least. My clients, they couldn't wait to get the hell out of the house. He's off somewhere, confident, hired an expert, and he has no idea how much of his money is just hemorrhaging all over the marketplace. He delegated control of his real estate journey to a professional, and he's getting wrecked by it. On the other hand, if he had had just a small taste about what I'm going to be talking to you about today, it would be a totally different world. He'd have been controlling his real estate journey right from the start, and this kind of thing would never have happened. Now, second story goes to the same exact point, but this one is on the home buying side. So last fall, I met this wonderful young couple at an open house. They're so cute. They were so excited about buying their first home. And after chatting with them, they had told me that the wife's mom has her license and she used to do a lot of real estate, so they're going to be working with her. Great. So just after that, the mom actually called me and she joked herself about her kids almost firing her and wanting to hire me. She was joking about it. And then she started asking me a bunch of questions about the marketplace, about strategies and tactics, how to prepare to write an offer. She was essentially asking for a coaching lesson right there on the phone about how to help her clients, her kids, to go about the right way to buy a home and get the lowest possible price from a seller. And then she actually called me a couple of more times over the next few weeks, including one call after they didn't get a house that they wanted. So I looked her up on the MLS. Sure enough, years and years of history with a lot of sales. But she hadn't sold a house in almost a decade. And this was the agent that was helping them. And frankly, it broke my heart because these kids, they had no idea what to do by themselves. They had no clue on how to control their own real estate journey, on the right way to go about buying a house. And they're looking around $1.5 million. They just put their hope into somebody that they obviously trusted, their mom, but also it just happened to be somebody that had no idea what they were doing. Given that kind of price range, some seller was going to end up with at least 75 grand more than they needed to, because these two sweet people were not in control of their own real estate journey. They're out there operating at barely an amateur level, even though they had hired a pro. And again, this is the most important part. They had no idea that it was happening. Absolutely brutal from my perspective. Do me a favor, put the word, and I keep pointing here, this is where I've got the chat for Zoom. Put the word control in the chat if these two stories help you understand how important it is for you to control your own journey. Control. Good. Great. Now, the news is actually worse than this. Now pay attention to this. These stories are frankly the tip of the iceberg. They're not unique. I see it happening every single day. It happens in every state, in every county, and every city across the country. And here's the reason why. It's because of the way the entire real estate industry is set up, and it's been this way for decades. The real estate industry is broken because it's due to the incentives and the industry focus of the real estate business itself. So quickly, I'm going to peel back the curtain and explain what's going on behind the scenes, things you probably have no idea about. Newsflash, the real estate industry is not your friend. The sole focus of the real estate companies, all of them, is to capture your business, which is your signature on the contract, and then to get your commission. And hopefully to get that commission as soon as possible. That's it. That's the goal. And quite frankly, that's the goal of about 99% of the agents out there as well. If you've been paying at all any attention over the last couple of years, multi-billion-dollar mergers of brokerages, including the one that I work for, numerous national lawsuits, and then of course, billions of dollars in advertising spent. In fact, there was just an announcement that Congress just signed a bill yesterday that's going to the president for signature. The National Association of Realtors is behind all of that. This huge changes to the industry and all of this. None of this, absolutely none of it, is about who has the best framework, the best strategies, and the best tactics for their clients, for you. It's all of it. Underlying all of this is signatures on contracts and commission dollars, and it goes all the way down. Even the biggest real estate coaching event in the country, okay, it's a guy by the name of Tom Ferry. It is literally the biggest in the country. And I'm going to show you. So I get this flyer from them, okay, inviting me to come to this workshop, right? And if you look at it here quickly, the details, you've got generating listing leads, increase your productivity, repeatable systems to generate income, fall in love with your business, and win more market share. Okay, those are the key items for this seminar. Do you see anything here about helping buyers get the lowest possible price on a home? Or do you see anything about how to get top dollar for your listings? No, this is all about better ways to increase their business, to get your signature on a contract, and to increase commission rate. That's the entire focus, okay? So of course the real estate industry produces results like this because illustrated with my two stories, because that's the result of the broken system. And frankly, this is why there's a disconnect. That's why there's this kind of ick feeling about realtors. It's why real estate agents rank so high on those national surveys about the least respected professions across the country. Nobody trusts them, very often rightly so. Realtors, lawyers, and used car salesmen, right? They're all kind of the same animal. In fact, a buddy of mine who I follow on Instagram, a couple of weeks ago, I couldn't believe this post. It was a poll that he put on his Instagram for ideas for how to describe what he does for a living, because he doesn't want to just say, I'm a realtor. So my point here, you've got to control your own real estate journey before you hire a realtor, before you even think about taking steps to buy or sell a house. Now, historically, most people think there are two ways to go about buying a home. And this is the way that everybody, including all of you right now, have always thought about it. Number one, first way is you hire a realtor and hope they know what they're doing. And this is, of course, most people. pull this up on the screen. So number one is hire a realtor and hope. This is the most common thing, buying or selling, okay? The other option is to go it alone, do it without a realtor, and just hope you'll properly execute for yourself. And obviously, fewer people go this route. Go it alone, that's been the other traditional option. And that also involves hoping to get it right, maybe save a little bit of commission, right? But neither one of these things actually solves the real problem. Neither one of them teaches you how to go about controlling your own real estate journey, and that's back to the broken system. Both of these ways, this is broken, and neither of them teach you how to control. And this is what you've got to confront. And this is why I have created something totally new and totally different. Private guidance. And this works whether you're going to do it without a realtor, or whether you've got one or you're going to be hiring one. Either way. Because the mission for me with this, it's not to be anybody's realtor. Nothing to do with that at all. But to independently help them. Independent guidance and help focused on you, not focused just on a contract or getting a commission. So let me quickly tell you about how I discovered this. There was a video at the very beginning, the third guy, Boris. One of my very, very best friends, he had hired me to be his agent. We sold his house up in Los Angeles for a record amount. Then they moved out of state. And then they began to hunt for a new home. But he called me and he was frustrated because he realized it had been a decade since he bought a house. He really didn't know how to go about buying a house at any level of expertise. So he's just out there looking at houses to find that, hopefully he can find the one he liked. But he was getting very disappointed with all of the agents he had met. He basically felt like they were kind of all amateur level, Uber drivers with a lockbox key, definitely wanting to get a commission. He could feel that on them. So he called me. He was kind of pissed off. And he said, dude, you just showed me all of these strategies and tactics that we implemented to get top dollar for my house. We killed it. But no agent here has even hinted to me about anything like this, how to go about saving money to buy a house the right way. They're just, hey, do you like this house? Do you want to buy it? Not a word about that, okay? So he asked me if I could help him, if I could show him exactly what the right strategies and tactics would be to use to educate him so he could get the very best possible price. And that's exactly what we did. So I helped him understand all the various things necessary to control his journey and buy a house like a pro. And then throughout the remainder of the process, while looking at homes and ultimately buying one, I was basically walking through the journey with him as his private guide and mentor. And all the way along, helping him maintain control, make good decisions, and then execute all the way along the way. So what ended up happening is exactly what we intended. And frankly, it was so much fun. He ended up saving about 70 grand on an $800,000 house based on what his realtor told him to expect, because he was playing a different game, this new third way. And frankly, it would not have mattered what realtor he hired. Any realtor, wouldn't have mattered. In fact, he even had some conflict with the agent that he was working with, and this happens. The agent started to push back against some of the things that we were doing. And I basically, from a distance on his shoulder, I basically helped him grab the realtor by the collar, get him to operate at a higher level. And it worked, just like it works every other time. So this was how this whole thing started, this new third way to help people control their own real estate journey and fight this historical system of just hoping that somebody else is guiding them correctly. To literally be there all along the way as the landmines are avoided or the opportunities pop up so they know what to do. Put the number 3 in the chat if my explanation makes sense. This new third way to help you take control. Number 3. Okay, good. You've probably never heard of anything like this before, okay? So how do you do this then? How do you control your own journey? Well, the first part is you've got to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's the knowledge piece. And the framework that I use for this, there's 2 pieces to it, okay? The first part is having a system or a process. It's kind of the map. Okay. The first part here, oops. Shoot, didn't mean to do that. So the first part is a system process. And think about this as like a map or a blueprint. Because what I see happening most of the time is folks and their agents just kind of working by feel, or well, let's just see what happens, or making things up as it goes along. And this is not the way. You don't buy a house at a pro level by guessing or reacting to things that happen. You do it by having a system and a plan in place at the beginning. Here's an example of that. So years ago, coming up on 4 years now, I had surgery on my shoulder. I showed up at the doctor's office and they definitely had a system, right? I mean, the doctor explained to me every step along the way, what's going to be happening, why it was going to be happening, who's going to be doing the various different things, when they were going to do it. It was clear to me, this is just a process that he repeats over and over and over and over. And of course, there are variations that are going to come up. Some people have bone spurs. Others have more rotator cuff damage, which I also did. But all of the various different possibilities of what they can find and see on that journey, they're all thought through. They're all explained. They've got specific solutions for each of those possibilities. So for him, for me, that he had the system, that he explained it to me step by step was so reassuring. I knew then that I was in the best of hands. I knew that he was completely prepared. It's the same thing with a home for you, whether it's an entry-level condo or a basic family home or a luxury property, whether it's that average $435,000 home across the country or $500,000 or average in Orange County at like 1.4. If you have the right process and system, the map, the blueprint, then you will get to the correct destination every single time. And it can be illustrated like this. This is the one that I show. This is my buyer program. On the other side of it, this is my seller program. This right here is part of every single consult I have when I'm interviewing with a potential client to help them save or make a bunch of money, buy or selling. It's the visual for every single thing I do. And it's the same thing with the Advantage program that I'm talking about here. Having this sort of blueprint. And there are 2 parts to this, right? The top part of it here is all the various activities that need to get done. Every single step along the way. And there are, in this one, for my real estate business here locally, there are actually 7 different phases to this blueprint. And this is where the landmines are identified, the possibilities and options are planned for, basically how to control that aspect of the journey. This here is the what, okay? So the process, system, and a map, this is the what part. This is mapping out what we're going to be doing and the sequence of them. And that's the first part, having a system or a process. And then the second part of this is to take all of these, what we're going to do, and map it onto your specific timeline. When do you want to be into a new house? When do you want to close escrow? So this down here, this is where you list out all the various different milestones of when it has to happen based upon your own timing goals. So that is the what, but it's also the when part of it. Having this type of framework for your journey, your map, your blueprint, and the sequence of it is totally essential. When you do this and you do this correctly, this here is the avoiding the landmines and avoiding the costly mistakes. So that right there is this, having that system or process. That's that piece of it. Does this make sense? Are you tracking with the importance of upfront having a system or a process in place? Put the word system or map in the chat if this makes sense to you. Map. Good. All right. Also for me, put the word yes if you've already learned something today, if we're doing good and there's some things that I've talked to you about that you've learned so far. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's keep going then. Now, the next question is, what about the how? So how do you do this? What goes into this framework? What are all these little black line items? The specific mechanics. So the way to do it like a pro is that you've got to have strategies and tactics that are unique, that are effective, and that are essential to the process. Things that nobody else in your marketplace is doing, that none of the agents know. So for my surgery, the doctor explained to me his specific how, a detailed explanation of what he does and why it's unique. He's got this new arthroscopic method, how it worked, why it was totally different and better than anyone else's for my shoulder. And this here is where the rubber meets the road. The difference between how most people, your competition, are going about their journey at an average level, and about how those that control it to get the right outcome by doing it the right way. Okay? So what you need is this is the language I use, you need a recipe. And you need a recipe with exceptional ingredients. Oh, I was already switched there. Okay. So the next piece of it, you need a recipe with exceptional ingredients. Because if you want exceptional results, obviously, the ingredients need to be exceptional. And just like any recipe, if you have the right recipe, you've got to use every single ingredient in the recipe. They all need to be used in the correct amounts and in the exact sequence to get it exactly correct. Now, if you're baking and you've got the recipe in front of you for cookies, and if you decide not to put in sugar, or you just decide to triple the amount of flour, the cookies are going to be terrible. You throw them out, no big deal. But an incorrect recipe, or no recipe at all, when you're buying a house with the stakes at this level, this can make an enormous difference in a home purchase, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is the how piece here. The recipe ingredients. This is the how. Now, first concept, this essential that I want to paint this entire picture of a how is positioning. Almost all of the ingredients that I'm going to show you here in a second to buy a house or to sell a house are downstream from this idea of positioning. If you're going to be selling a house, your house is the product, and positioning that house is essential. If you're a buyer, you're the product, and positioning yourself as the buyer is essential as well. And here's what I mean about positioning and why it's crucial. So imagine that I went out and spent a bunch of money and I bought my wife an extremely expensive piece of jewelry. And then I took this expensive piece of jewelry, I wadded it up in a plastic grocery bag, and then I just tossed it to her when I walked into the house. Here you go, baby, love you. Another scenario. Imagine I bought a far less expensive gift. But in this case, I waited until the kids went to bed. I lit a few candles out in our little outside sitting area. I opened a bottle of wine. And then I presented it to her in a beautifully wrapped little box with a card attached to it. And inside, there's a long note telling her all the things that I loved about her, and I'd marry her again in a second. Which of those two would have a better effect? The second one, by a mile, of course. And it has nothing to do with the gift itself. It has to do with the positioning, okay? And all of those various things that I did, the outside, the kids to bed, the wine, the note, the wrapping, all of that stuff, those were the ingredients in the recipe to position everything just right. And the critical part is all of this requires work to be done way in advance. Planning, setting everything up for the gift giving. I thought through all of that first, way before I actually just went out and bought the gift. One of the most important things that you can do as a home buyer is to control how the seller and the listing agent perceive you, how they perceive your agent, and how they perceive your offer. That is positioning. If you're selling a house, it's the same way. Positioning the home, that determines how buyers are going to perceive it and their expectations of what it is going to take to buy that house. And you've got to plan it, you've got to be strategic about it, and you've got to execute it just right. Just like when you're cooking from a recipe. So there are 6 essential ingredients to the buyer's journey, and there are 8 essential ingredients for a seller's journey. These are the specific steps that you need to take. So the recipe ingredients, that's this part here. To make sure you're on the correct path, whatever shortcuts, turning left, turning right where you need to. This is where the recipe ingredients come in. The correct path all the way to the goal, the lowest possible, how to get the lowest possible price to buy a house. So let me show you these recipes, okay? Flip through. Okay, so for the buyer recipe, we have buyer staging, practicing the contract, a surprising deposit, contingency management, offer presentation, and the crystallization. The seller recipe, stake and sizzle, staging and preparation, seller sets the price, expanded marketing, offer presentation itself, buyer agent incentives, appraisal confrontation, and no dual agency. Those are the recipe ingredients for how to buy or sell like a pro. So, I should have put my screen back on. Sorry about that. There you go. There they all listed out. Okay, so the overview and the thinking behind both of these recipes and their ingredients, it's the basic challenge that you as a buyer or as a potential seller have. And your basic challenge is this. You've got to confront the unknowns that are important to the other side of the table. Whether it's a seller or a buyer, in their agents, their timing goals, their previous experience, their motivations, any outside influences on them, a million other things. These are all things that you don't know. You have no idea. You're never going to know what they are. But you need to have plans to address all of those potential things. So that's why I have got all of these different recipe ingredients for all of them in ways that are unique, that are different, that are beyond expectation, that are effectively pro levels above what any of your competition is going to be doing. And that all of these recipe ingredients, they stack up on top of one another. And they're essentially multiple angles of attack on all of these potential unknown things, okay? And what they end up doing is they end up stacking together and applying pressure. And that ends up further separating you from what is normally expected. And it further separates you from anybody that you're competing against. And the key about it is that none of it is random. It's not reactive. It's all intentional and it's all planned and they work. And once you do it, this is where a potential seller's certainty about what they want for their house, that's where their certainty starts to become flexible. And the same on the other side, where if you're selling a house, a buyer coming at you, doing all of those things is where their certainty about price and what they'll be willing to pay, it's where that starts to become flexible. And that's where the money starts to flow to you, that range of price. Now, of course, every single state has slightly different contracts and different rules, but the general architecture and the overall intent of it, it's basically the same. And all of these ingredients translate into every single state in every single area. And it's how folks in all different states across the country can all run the exact same program that I'm helping them with and have such incredible results. So I want to talk about a couple of highlights from these essential recipe ingredients. And the first one has to do, it's common to both the buyer and the sellers. And it has to do with the offers themselves, okay? One of these recipe ingredients is to radically change the offer and negotiating environment itself. Now, the vast majority of offer presentations nowadays are done via email. They are PDFs on a phone that are emailed back and forth by robots. And my advice is, I think that as a buyer, you should do everything you can to submit your offer in person. And if you're selling a house, you should do everything you can to have a buyer and all their agents show up to the house and present their offer in person as well. So let me talk about this. That's this piece here. So it's a recipe ingredient that's common to both, and it's in person. My guess is that very few of you have even heard about this being done, let alone that it is a powerful ingredient to get pro-level results. And here's why in person is so important relative to the way it's normally done in the marketplace. Number one, it is a far superior negotiating environment. And this is a better way to make money. Secondly, when people are meeting in person, there is a potential magic that happens that's impossible when you're just trading PDFs on an email. Most of the time, residential real estate, it's very personal. It's very emotional. People care about who is going to be living in my house that I've had. Not all the time, but oftentimes. And when you do an offer in person, it can press that emotional button, okay? Real quick, 2 weeks ago, sold a listing of mine, and it was an in-person multiple offer meeting. It was a listing of mine up in Anaheim. So the night before we did that meeting, I was talking to both of the buyer's agents. Neither had ever heard of doing offers in person, despite years and years ago, that's the way it used to be done. After 5 minutes of conversation, they both absolutely loved the idea, and let me tell you why. The first agent, she told me a story. She and her clients 2 weeks earlier had tried to buy a house. It was a multiple offer situation, and it was about a week of back and forth emails between the listing agent and the buyer's agent and all that. And throughout the whole thing, the whole process just kind of felt off to them. And after a week of all of this back and forth, they were so frustrated with it, they just moved on. They didn't even respond. They just went out and ended up buying my listing. The second agent, she explained that the previous week, she and her clients had submitted an offer on a different house, and that agent never responded at all. It was a full price offer. In both of those cases, the way those listing agents were handling those multiple offers, they ended up driving both of these buyers away. Now think about this for a second. Even if either of those buyers did get the houses they were after, what would be their attitude and their disposition at the beginning of that process? Because it's getting a contract signed is more than just getting signatures on a piece of paper. It's actually setting the stage for the rest of the transaction. Well, it's a totally different world when you do it in person, and nobody does it like this anymore. And for you as a buyer, there are even more benefits. If you could present your offer in person, it keeps everything quick and easy and honest. You've got your pen and the paper right there. If they're trying to play games with you or shop your offer around, do something dirty, it immediately becomes exposed and you move on. And if you're selling a house, doing it in person, that eliminates the time wasters. Only serious buyers are going to show up to present an offer in person, and you only want to deal with serious buyers. I cannot count the number of times that another agent has told me that doing the offer in person that we just did was literally the best experience of their career. And that's been when I've been on the buy side and on the selling side. And whether or not we ended up getting the house or the agent ended up getting the house. Now, let me tell you one other quick story that goes to another one of these recipe items, but it also mixes in the topic of real estate agents and their performance and the incentives that they have due to this broken system. And this is about, let me show you on the buyer side. It's one of my very favorite recipe ingredients here. I call it practicing the contract. When I read it, you may have had no idea what I was talking about. And this little story is going to show you how an unseen landmine can be potentially catastrophic and how just one recipe ingredient that's simple can avoid that landmine altogether. And this is a recipe ingredient that nobody uses. So let me quickly tell you the story. This is about a year ago now. There's a buyer consult that I had with folks, and I was showing them my system, and I was interviewing for the job to be their agent, right? And they were resistant, skeptical about real estate agents in general. Obviously, I don't blame them. Then they told me that what they've been doing is they've been working without an agent, going straight to the listing agent to buy the house directly from the listing agent, getting the listing agent to represent them too, thinking that would kind of give them an insider track on buying a house, saving some money. Now, this can be a smart move if you know how to properly control the process, what, how, and when to do the right things. Then it's a good idea. But if not, So these folks had been in escrow in the house, but then it fell apart. There was a disagreement about some plumbing issues, right? So we're sitting there and we're in the portion of the consultation where I'm going through all of these recipe ingredients and I'm walking them through what they are, explaining them. And I get to the one here about practicing the purchase contract. So what I did is I asked them to grab their phone and pull up the offer that they had written on that deal. Now, this is something I do all the time when possible, because I know that if they do that, immediately I'm going to be able to quickly identify some sort of amateur level move that had been done, show them the landmines they stepped on, what they shouldn't have done, what they should have done instead. I mean, I just know it. I've been doing it for so long. Sure enough, it's exactly what happened. They pulled the contract, but then in this case, I discovered a catastrophic problem. In the section of the contract on cost allocations, this is the California contract here, certainly not going to go over the details, but on page 3 right here, it says allocation of costs. So the listing agent, who was functioning as their agent, they had filled out this section of the contract in such a way that these folks were going to be responsible for every single one of the seller's transaction costs, all of them. I pointed this out to them and they immediately got defensive with me. No. This guy, he was awesome. We totally trusted him. He was working so hard to make sure that it was a good and fair deal for everybody. He's kind of the neighborhood guy in that part of Costa Mesa there. Everybody knows him and we loved him. And I'm like, maybe, but look here and here and here. Here's the thing. Had this deal gone through, it would have cost them about 14 grand additional. They couldn't believe it. They had no idea. And this was just one recipe ingredient. And the reality is, the recipe ingredient itself, it's not rocket science. It's just identify what it is and follow it. It's actually so easy and simple, but nobody does it. And none of these ingredients are complicated. They all just take a few minutes and having awareness of what they are, knowing the few simple things needed to check the box. But here's the thing. Each of them could be very important. And on this real estate journey, very important can mean tens of thousands of dollars. And very few buyers or sellers or agents ever do them. And it's when they all stack together, that's how the combined effect moves the needle, that 10% price swing. It's the cumulative effect of all of these recipe ingredients that has the power. And this is why to have this kind of certainty on the real estate journey, you've got to be the one in control, because you need to know how and where and what and why every single step should be taken. Otherwise, the potential for costly mistakes and missed opportunities is just way too high. Now, most consumers, they've never heard of or considered anything like this before. So I want to just quickly show you a couple of quick things that some folks have said about this system that I've just described to you. And these are all people that have ended up in control of their own journey so they could buy or sell a house like a pro. So let me quickly show you. These are people that I've worked with. So this is Mark. He was in Houston. Michael made it easy and fun. I've sold a few homes in my lifetime, and this was the best experience I'd had. Joseph, he was a buyer. System worked like magic. James, thanks for helping us achieve our goals and getting the maximum payout within our time frame. This is Ray. He helped him buy a house. His approach is most certainly unique. And then let me show you, this is another fella here that I have helped multiple times.
Tim and I have done 3 transactions in the last 24 months. Guy helped me sell 2 houses and a purchase in the middle. The reality is I wouldn't have been able to pull off any of the transactions without Mike. I wouldn't have felt as secure in all the transactions. We were able to get on both the buying and the selling side the best deal possible with the best terms because of how Mike was able to walk through the process of buying and selling real estate. Guy's a total pro, could not be happier with his services, and can't wait to buy more houses with him.
So what I want to do is very quickly review some of the things that we've talked here today. First thing is, there is a lot of money potential on the table in your real estate journey. Maybe more money than any transaction of your life. And number 2, we discuss why the traditional real estate system is often not aligned or incentivized to help consumers get the best results, and that there is another option. System's broken, and there is a third option, and that's private guidance and help. That's the third option. And the only way to do it successfully is to control your own real estate journey to buy or sell a house like a pro. You have to control your own journey. And the way to do it, the way to achieve your optimal outcome, the results you want, is you need to have a system or a framework to guide you. And then you need to have effective recipe ingredients. So you need to have a system, plus a recipe. And to do all of that correctly, if you want it to get help. So now, you know, this is the right way to continue your real estate journey to get the results you want. For that 40 grand on the average house, or 75 or 100 grand, or whatever the amount is at your price range. Now you know the right way to go about doing it. So at this point, there are 2 ways you can go. First way is simple. Take what I've shown you here today and you try to do it on your own. Watch some of my YouTube videos, keep scrolling listings, keep asking friends for advice. Hope that you get an agent that catches everything correctly and just kind of figure it out on your own as you go along. That's what most people do. And to be fair, sometimes that works. But if you've been paying attention today, you've seen the problem. Mistakes in real estate don't feel obvious when you're making them. It just feels normal, right? It just sounds like we'll figure it out later, or the agent's going to handle that, or we'll know the right house when we see it, or it'll become obvious, or the price seems fine. But what seemed normal can instantly turn into a $14,000 mistake, or a $70,000 mistake, or a missed opportunity, or like that seller at the beginning, leaving 6 figures on the table because of delegating the process to someone else. So the second option is we actually go through this together. Because for some of you, the biggest issue isn't going to be information, right? The bigger issue is maybe realizing I don't need lessons. I need a plan, and I need help thinking through the timing, the decisions, in what to do and what not to do before the pressure starts to hit. And then after figuring that out, a guide for the rest of the journey. And not a guide that's just focused on getting a contract or a sale or a commission. A guide that's focused on me and what I need and want. So if that is you, message me after. So I'm going to tell you real quickly what I'm doing here. I am opening a small private founders round for a very new program. And it's specifically for folks buying their next home in the $500,000 to $2 million price range. I'm going to put this here. It's called the Next Home Advantage. And it's a founder's level because I'm just launching it. And it's specifically for folks in the $500K to $2 million price range buying their next home. And it's for people that don't want to pick the house or their timeline or their real estate agent reactively. So here's the way it works. Is in the first 30 days, we are going to build out your plan and your blueprint and timeline. In the first 30 days, we will build out your what, when, and how. So in the first 30 days, we build out your plan and timeline. All of the recipe ingredients, map that all out for you. And then over the following 5 months, I'm going to guide you through all of the decisions so that you're not making one of the biggest financial moves of your life just based on emotion, pressure, and incomplete information. So over the next 5 months, that's where you'll be getting the active guidance piece. Okay, and then this is not realtor representation. Most people in this system are still going to be hiring their agent. The other people I've helped have all ended up hiring their own agents. And frankly, that's a part of it, helping you find and hire the right kind of agent. All of this stuff that I'm talking about, this Next Home Advantage program, sits before all of that so that you know what you're doing before the market starts pulling you around. My job would be to make sure that you're not outsourcing strategy or delegating all of that to the person that gets paid when the deal closes, who may or may not be operating at a pro level. Now, I am only taking 10 people, 10 founders for this first round. It's launching first full week of July, so 2 weeks from now. The first 5 are getting a private next home decision audit live with me. So this is limited. It's limited to just 10 people. And the first 5 get a private audit with me. Exactly what you're doing. Now, if you're interested in this, for you, Maury, Jay, and DJ, when you register, you emailed, but there isn't a way for me to track it off Zoom here. So when we're done, you've been getting emails or SMSs, okay? Message me the word plan. Simply message me that word plan. We'll write it up here too. Either email me back plan or text it to me after the workshop, and I will send you details. We can either book a quick call or I can send you more information to see if this founder's level for the Next Home Advantage would be a good fit for you. And it's direct access with me while I build this thing out. So you get the plan now instead of waiting for the polished program later. That's why it's the founder's level. So there's a cost savings to this. So what you'd be getting is this. You'd be getting in 30 days, you will have a clear next home plan, custom timeline, so that you can make the confident decisions before choosing a house, even setting up your timeline or your realtor. And then I'm going to be guiding you through the next 5 months of journey.
I've lived in 10 different states, and so I've conducted a lot of real estate transactions, and I have to tell you the finest real estate professional that I've ever run across is Michael Hausen. He's helped me with 5 different transactions. The one that really comes to mind is a service that I'm not sure you're going to find from anyone. I was needing to sell an investment condo that I had in Boston while living in California. He not only helped me find a local broker there, but he also helped me with the kind of working with him remotely to get a quick sale at a good price. Just unbelievable service, and can't recommend him enough. I've referred him to at least 3 other people, and he's done a great job for them. And I think of him as the real estate whisperer.
So as a first-time home buyer, I felt pretty overwhelmed and didn't exactly know where to start. Michael is a great advisor in helping me navigate the path from choosing the right agent to dealing with a mortgage broker, all the way through closing on a home. He really helped me understand the process and how it should work, and the things that I need to be doing and look out for, and also the things that I should avoid. And having him as my advisor, essentially my consultant, and not just a realtor, was incredibly helpful. And I recommend that anyone doing a real estate transaction would greatly benefit from having him on your team.
A few years ago, my wife and I made the move from Los Angeles to Arizona, and we needed to sell our house in a fairly quick manner. Michael helped us through that process in just a tremendously wonderful way. He walked us through the way the market was. He helped us balance the offers we were being given. He helped us set up our home for sale to get the most we could from it. And most importantly, he never pressured us to actually take any deals, and would always help us consider the pros and cons of every offer we were given. On the flip side of that, as we moved to Phoenix, he helped us remotely, first by finding us a wonderful realtor here in Phoenix, but also during that process, advising us as we were buying our home. I can't recommend anyone more highly than I do Michael. He really was tremendous on both sides of our real estate transactions, on selling our home, as well as helping us buy a home in Phoenix, where he really wasn't getting anything out of it other than the joy of helping a former or current or forever client. I highly recommend him. Thank you.